Looks good. The light might be too light. Might be too litty. I don't know if I put my head in front of it. Then the lens flare will subside. Oh, that's much better. Maybe shift over just a little bit more, then I'll do this too. Oh, that's perfect. Doing this on my iPhone instead of using an iPad, just in case I need to search something. Well, to give an update on, hold on for a second. All right, I'm back. I think I'm back. It's live again. Okay. Am I on? I couldn't do Bluetooth. Yeah, there we go. Good. See if I can run concurrent. Yesterday, I talked about the football game that was played in London between the Broncos and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I detailed my thoughts on Russell Wilson and his cringe swag. Well, Russell Wilson, joke's on me, the Broncos won. And in true Russell fashion, he was super positive about it. And but good for him. Good for him. Still, I think there's a cringe swag factor going on with him. And my comments were not an attack, more of a recognition. Because I'm a smidge older than Russell, and I know what that midlife crisis energy is like, and that's all I was picking up on. And how when you're an old guy, and I heard somebody else say this years ago, when you're trying to hold on to your coolness, it is hard because you're failing to realize that you just may not be as smooth as you think you are. And people always want to attack somebody who has a lot of confidence, and Russell seems to be supremely confident. And he's very successful and accomplished, which is always going to make him an easy target because people don't feel like they're punching down. People are rather much more comfortable when they feel as if they're punching up. And a lot of that it could be relevant issues with respect to what they're talking about regarding him or any successful person that they want to make fun of or ridicule. But a little bit of it is jealousy and feelings of inadequacy. But nevertheless, like I said, joke's on me because they won. The Broncos won yesterday, so he showed me. And good for him because he needs a win. Still not going to be successful in Denver, at least not this season. But at least there's a silver lining on the cloud. And yesterday was a good thing that I went live in the car so I could see how it sounds. Just in case I ever want to do that again, because I feel good driving and thinking and speaking. It was good for me to get my thoughts out. While I was driving, things were fluid and I had plenty of stimuli. And it was good, just a good way to get the brain going and to verbalize. Then I listened to the playback and it was very choppy. In the beginning, but it ended up rounding out pretty good, especially in times when I was at a red light or I just wasn't driving very fast. So if I'm going to drive and stream at the same time, I may need to get a different mount and situate the phone in a different place on the dash because it's in my cup holder. And I did see some interesting cup holders, phone holders that fit in your cup holder at Home Depot, where it fits in your cup holder, but it's like a stalk that comes up, and it's like the phone is almost eye level with you, So I'm gonna look into getting that because I thought that was cool when I saw it. It was only about 25 bucks. But at the time, I didn't see a need to get it. But if I'm gonna stream from the crib, then I can just do it like I'm doing this. But if I'm gonna stream from the car, I probably need to invest in something a little bit more stable. Um, Nevertheless, I thought it was pretty cool and successful. It felt good. I was at ease. One of the things I've noticed with people, because now we're in the age of content creation, is there are people who may feel a sense of awkwardness having to talk to a camera for the purposes of posting a video because it feels unnatural and it feels scary, and they can be perfectly fine when the camera's not on, but as soon as their camera's on, even though they're holding the phone and they're talking, like, people can get awkward and they can get kind of scared. But everybody seems to be very comfortable now with creating content, or at least participating in the social media culture. Everybody is doing it, and a lot of people have turned it into a lifestyle and a hustle, which is fine. But then that puts upon them the pressure to like produce it. And I think the cool thing about social media, especially when you look at it from a hardware standpoint, because you're interacting with social media on like iPhones and iPads and Androids and phone and devices. You're using devices in order to be able to use social media to consume content, but then also to shoot videos and take pictures to be able to post on social media. And people have a tendency to call like a live stream, they'll call it a show. Like, I'm doing a show, this is my show. And I get it, but sometimes people feel the pressure to overproduce. I look at the YouTube culture, and it's very much people going live and having interactions with the chat, but they have a visual. Sometimes people just go live with their avatar, but then some people go live with the camera on, and they do the whole thing where they have like a microphone and the audio sounds good, and they'll have like a visual behind them, and they have like a produced set, which is awesome. But it doesn't, I think there's a certain charm, even if you're going to call your live stream or what you're doing on social media a show, there's a charm to the underproduction of it. It has more of a cable access type feel for those of us who are old enough to remember when TV stations had to devote a certain number of hours to local programming, which was the rise of the cable access television show. I mean, a lot of production, like very well produced shows on network television, were based on that model. If you look at the early days of MTV, it was like that. It was like some rinky-dink, underproduced cable access type feel, swag that just snowballed into highly funded production cable network TV shows. But it just started small, and there's a quaintness to it that we miss now, because now we have everything on demand with respect to content. Whatever it is that you like, whatever it is that you're into, you can have it whenever you want it. And most of the stuff, the digital copies are for sale, so you can like own it and maintain a digital copy, not ever having a physical copy of it, and have it like retained in your cloud. So people are very much not trained to anticipate their favorite show coming on and then them not being able to experience it again until the broadcaster chooses to show it. Now you can have whatever your favorite thing is, you can have it on demand. And we're well into the age of disposable television and disposable content, because networks need shows. Networks need tons of shows, they need tons of content. So we're into junk TV and disposable television. And people have a tendency to get very involved in these storylines, and everything is boiled down to reality TV, which is still written and scripted. Even though it's reality, it's still scripted, and there's still storylines, and it's still very much engineered. And then we've moved into the era of not necessarily produced scripted reality television. We've moved into the area of people consuming content. So it used to be like back when I was younger, we had music video shows on like MTV, BET, and VH1. And those music videos helped to push culture with respect to like dress and style and fashion and um, the feel, the energy. Like, cause you look at a bunch of pivotal music videos. Music videos used to get premiered, and it was like for like the whole week they would say we're going to premiere the new X, Y, and Z video, whether it be Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, um, Green Day, and it was like an event to see the music video, and it was of cultural significance to the zeitgeist that this video was going to be released, and that it was seen as important. Well, now we don't even have that anymore. Music videos are non-existent. Your favorite song, whatever it is that your favorite song is, that's current, that just came out, you may never even know that it has a music video, and if it does, you may never even see it. And if you do, you may look at it once on YouTube. You may just engage with the song on YouTube for the purposes of hearing the audio. So the content that people consume now has changed, and I think it would be safe to say that people consume a lot of social media more than they may like a television show, because social media follows you wherever you go. Um, and you like I said, you can watch your television if you have like I can watch my favorite TV show. I can stream it on my phone when I'm walking through the mall. You can do that, or you can listen to your favorite podcast. Podcasts are a big thing now too. And there's so much content out there that can be consumed for whatever your interests are. So now, I think people almost feel as if they're competing on social media in order to be able to gain followers, eyeballs on them. And there's a lot of power that comes with creating content that is being consumed by a lot of people. Women have a tendency to be able to generate followers a little bit quicker than guys, especially if usually the women have a aesthetic to them, because men like pretty women. So you'll see like a content creator that is a beautiful woman or fits that aesthetic start off with under 10,000 followers and then snowball to like 100,000 like in months and go very quickly. And that's got to be quite a boost to the like your confidence or your feeling of self-efficacy. Like you're in the game quick because you have followers, you have engagement, you have eyeballs on you, and for every post that you make is significant, and you become like a TV show. But that's where we are now. People producing content for social media for the purposes of being able to garner followers has become an obsession. Probably a better use of social media would be to be able to track chronologically progress or use it as like a diary, a way to be able to put your thoughts out there, right, into the ether, into the world. But we live in a hustle gig economy, hustle slash gig economy, where people are trying to use their content so that they can monetize it, so they can use it as an income driver, so they can have some control over the quality of their lifestyle. It's interesting. But back to how this all started. Russell Wilson. He has cringe swag, but he won the football game yesterday, so that goes a lot. It goes to show you what cringe swag, the significance of it. You can just have a cringy swag. But whatever. and today was a regular day for me. Went back to work after being on vacation for months. For a week and a half. I wish I could be on vacation for months. If I went on vacation for months, I forget how to do my job. Like I said, went back to work today. That was cool. Didn't come back to any catastrophes or disasters, which is always comforting. Got some things done. And cooked a steak for dinner. Steak and shrimp. Was it? Well, I don't know. It wasn't. Was it a sirloin? I think I cooked a sirloin. I got to look up the different type of cuts of steak. But it was cool. It had some shrimp. That was very filling. So that's what I had for dinner. This is going to be a good stream because this is going to give me a good opportunity to listen back to this to see how it sounds. It looks pretty clear. Like I said, I'm using my iPhone and then using my iPad here. But nobody's ever going to watch this, so it doesn't matter anyway. I'm like somebody's going to listen to this. And somebody's ever going to see this. Well, there have been a couple of things that have happened in the news recently that have been very interesting. Of course, Kanye doing what he does best, which is draw breath and manufacture chaos. And the attempt on Nancy Pelosi's husband, the attempt on his life, the attempted murder, it seems. And it seems like the assailant had designs on assaulting Speaker of the House Pelosi, but she wasn't there. So he encountered her husband and assaulted him. I'm trying to see what else is of significance. No, the race is heating up here in Georgia between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock, and then also Stacey Abrams and our current governor, Brian Kemp. And I went and voted. Got that out of the way. I voted early last week, so I cast my vote. So we'll see how it turns out. And yeah, there's that. So if you're a voter, if you're engaged in a political process, vote. And if you don't want to vote, then don't vote. Whatever. You know, that's your business. But I vote. I do take the time to have my voice heard, cast my vote. I'm watching Isle of Dogs, which is a Wes Anderson movie. It's stop motion animation, which is cool to look at. And it's a really good movie. It's very well done. I remember when it came out, I was so excited to see it at the movie theater. It came out in 2018, and I was very excited to see it. And Wes Anderson is a great director. He never disappoints. He did the movie The Royal Tenenbaums and the Grand Budapest Hotel. And his movies almost look like the same type of aesthetic that you would see in a children's book. Very clean shots, just very unique with the production value. And he did a recent movie, I think it won an Oscar, called The French Dispatch, which came out in 2021. So the Fantastic Mr. Fox also, and then Moonrise Kingdom. So his movies in chronological order. I think the first one was Bottle Rocket. It was in '96. Then Rushmore in 1998. The Royal Tenenbaums in 2001. The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, 2004. The Darjeeling Limited in 2007. Darjeeling. The Darjeeling Limited. Darjeeling. See that? The Fantastic Mr. Fox in 2009, which I remember going to see in the movie theater with a friend of mine. Me and her went together to see it. It was a good movie. The Fantastic Mr. Fox. That was a good movie. It was based on the children's book of the same name. So, The Fantastic Mr. Fox is a 2009 American stop-motion animated comedy film directed by Wes Anderson, who co-wrote the screenplay with Noah Baumbach. The project is based on the 1970 children's novel of the same name by Roald Dahl, George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Jason Schwartzman, who is a frequent collaborator of Mr. Anderson as far as movies, and so is Bill Murray, who is also in The Fantastic Mr. Fox. Willem Dafoe and Owen Wilson star. The plot follows the titular character, Mr. Fox, voiced by Mr. Clooney, as his spree of deaths result in his family and later his community being hunted down by three farmers known as Bogus, Bunce, and Bean. It's a good movie. The Fantastic Mr. Fox. I would suggest people see all of Wes Anderson's movies because they're just good. But The Fantastic Mr. Fox is probably the best example of his work. It's just really good. It's just a really good, cool looking movie. He subsequent to that did Moonrise Kingdom in 2012. Bill Murray was in that too. Then in 2014, The Grand Budapest Hotel. In 2018, Isle of Dogs, which is the movie I'm watching now. In 2021, The French Dispatch. He has two upcoming movies called Asteroid City and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Let's see what Asteroid City is about. Asteroid City is an upcoming American romantic comedy drama film written, directed, and produced by Wes Anderson. The cast has been described as being larger than most other Anderson films that are ensemble in nature. Larger because The French Dispatch was pretty large. There were a lot of actors in that, and I'll run down the cast in that later. It is set to be released domestically by Focus Features, while Universal Pictures will handle foreign distribution. Tilda Swinton, Adrian Brody, Tom Hanks, Margot Robbie, Rupert Friend. What does he look like? Okay. Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Bryan Cranston, Hope Davis, Jeff Goldblum, Jeffrey Wright, Liev Schreiber, Tony Revolori. That's what he looks like. Okay. Matt Dillon, Sophia Lills, Steve Park, Maya Hawke, Fisher Stevens, Josh Lee, Edward Norton, Steve Carell, Willem Dafoe, Rita Wilson, and Jarvis Crocker. Yeah, that is a lot of people. Lord Jesus. That is crazy. Principal photography for the movie. What's the movie's name again? Asteroid City. Principal photography, originally set for Rome, Italy, ended up taking place in Spain between August and October of 2021. Yikes. Wow, that's a lot of folks, man. That's a lot of folks. That's a lot of folks. Shucks. Asteroid City. Okay, well, I'm waiting on that one. Then the other movie he's working on, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Ralph Fiennes, Dev Patel, Ben Kingsley, Rupert Friend, and Richard Oyade. Man. This dude is really working, man. That's pretty cool. When did this start? They haven't shot. Oh, it's September. It's Road Dogs. Okay, so The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. In September 2021, Netflix acquired the Roald Dahl, once again, Roald Dahl story company for $686 million. Wow, so Roald Dahl had a story company, his company, I guess that's like his production company. And it probably the company had rights to all of Roald Dahl's works. Netflix bought the Roald Dahl, who is the writer of the fantastic Mr. Fox, the story company for $686 million. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar project was confirmed on January 7th, 2022, the day after it was reported that Wes Anderson was set to write and direct the adaptation of the Roald Dahl short story, with Netflix distributing. Oh, so that's a Netflix movie. Yeesh. Wes Anderson's really moving, man. Wes Anderson's one of my favorite directors. Yeah, Wes Anderson's one of my favorite directors. I like it. Hmm. That's awesome. That's cool. I could spend the whole time just talking about Wes Anderson and his movies, evidently. Shucks. Yeah, I'll do that. I might have to do a whole Wes Anderson thing. Yeah, but he's a good director of movies. That was interesting. Everybody awake? Let's talk about Isle of Dogs. Yeah, so Isle of Dogs was right before The French Dispatch. Okay, so this is the movie I'm watching right now, Isle of Dogs. First, like I said, go back and watch The Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's a great, very entertaining movie. It's just good. It's just fun to watch. Um, it's not disposable the way the other stuff I was talking about is. It is the opposite of disposable. It is it is posable. Isle of Dogs is a 2018 adult stop motion animated science fiction drama film written, produced, and directed by Wes Anderson and starring an ensemble cast consisting of Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Liev Liev Schreiber, Bill Murray, Bob Balaban, Jeff Goldblum, Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Ken Watanabe, Greta Gerwig, Akira Takayama, Frances McDormand, F. Murray Abraham, Courtney B. Vance, I didn't know he was in that, Fisher Stevens, Harvey Keitel, and Frank Wood. Isle of Dogs is set in the fictional, retro-futuristic Japanese city of Megasaki, where Mayor Kenji Kobayashi has banished all dogs to Trash Island due to a canine influenza pandemic. Kobayashi's nephew Atari sets out to find his missing dog Spots with the help of a group of dogs led by Stray Dog Chief. That is really cool. I should just do a whole thing where I read the Wikipedia pages for all the Wes Anderson movies. Hmm. Yeah, it could be a new career choice for me. It looks good in HD too. Yeah, Isle of Dogs. Check out Isle of Dogs too. The Fantastic Mr. Fox. The Fantastic Mr. Fox is good. Isle of Dogs may be better. Controversial. But yeah, I just went down the Wes Anderson wormhole. What am I on now? Permanently changing. What is I'm on? But it will be November 1st. Tomorrow, which means that today is October 31st, which means that today is Halloween. Hmm. Trick or treat. Trick or treat. Yeah, man. Trick or treat. The first. It's November. It's November already. That is so crazy. It is already November. It'll be Christmas soon. Maybe I should put my Christmas tree up this week. I'll strongly consider that. I will do that. Yeah, I think I will. I think I will put my Christmas tree up this week. It'll be a project, something for me to work on. In other news, I feel skinny. I feel like I might be losing weight. I don't feel heavy. Huh? I feel light. And that feels good. I took a nap after I logged out of work. And that was a healthy thing for me to do. That was a good decision. And I woke up and I took a shower. I shaved my head yesterday. Saturday? Today's Monday. I shaved my head Saturday. I did. That's why it was so smooth yesterday. Yeah, I shaved it Saturday night. And good for me for doing that. It was very responsible of me to have done that. Let's see, a thought popped into my head earlier today um, because I can notice a shift in my behavior versus how I've been for like the past, I don't know, 8, 9 years. I'm noticing more of a relaxed posture that I'm assuming for a lot of reasons. And I think it has to do with maybe limiting my number of unhealthy interactions in my life, which the context for it was me working remote. I don't have to go into the office. I haven't had to go into the office for like 5 years. So I've been working remotely at home for 2017, um, which has done a lot of good for my mental health because I, having negative experiences at your job as it pertains to like abusive management or even like having a coworker like stalk you. Number one, I don't wish anybody ever to be in a situation where upon which they're being stalked by a coworker or an ex love interest or anybody. That is terrible. That is a terrible place to be in. But what it can do, and I think what it did for me, because I had experience with that, um, and having like this was a woman I work with who was like cyber stalking me and just acting in a very just being harassing. Um, that can degrade the quality of your life immensely. That's a terrible place to have to exist in and have to be in because the negative advocates that had surrounded her, and she had a very high conflict personality type. Essentially, everybody was afraid of her, and this is one of the things that I learned about the dynamics between people that work together in a job. More often than not, and I saw this happen, like women bully other women. I've seen women bully women on a job. I've seen subordinates bully their female managers, like female subordinates bully their female managers. Their culture of bullying with respect to women in their relationships is significant and real and under discussed. And I saw this person who kind of turned her ire and sights on me because I don't think she actually viewed me as a human being, which always helps when you're an abusive person. Um, Turn that same energy and those same tactics on other people. And I watch people like cower in front of her and obfuscate their responsibility to be able to stand up to her or their responsibility to advocate on their own behalf. We all have a responsibility to be able to advocate on our own behalf. It's nobody else's responsibility to defend us. Chiefly, that's our responsibility. And I watched it play out over years. And my tactic was to just go gray rock, which is a tactic that they teach you, and just give the person absolutely no information whatsoever to be able to use as a weapon to weaponize to be able to abuse you. So you have to go dark on your social media, like take your social media private, because this person that I work with was going on my social media, was doing all type of weird stuff, looking for information. I don't know. It was odd. And the only thing I can come up with is that the young lady didn't have, and she's older than me. I'm 39, so I think she might be like 44 or 45. She didn't have much going on in her personal life, and that's not a shot at her. She was unmarried and childless, but yet to replace all that energy that she would otherwise being used in toward like a family unit, she didn't have anything going on outside of that because there are a lot of women who are childless and unmarried who have very robust social lives. But I don't think she had anything to latch on to that was significant in her life that actually fulfilled her. So there was just a general sense of sourness to her disposition, which on its face is, it makes it difficult to deal with a person. But she was abusive and lashed out, and nobody had any effective recourse against her because the silent agreement that had been made by the ladies in that group and in the environment with her was to kind of protect her, even though the way that she was acting was unhealthy for everybody. They they coded up, even though they didn't like her and they felt in danger around her. They coded up to just keep an open secret because she would seek retribution, she would retaliate, and she was just vicious with respect to her interaction with people. She was a bully. She was a little bitty bully, and the ladies there went for it. and they got bullied. She was a bully, and they got bullied. And one of the things that I learned about being like just watching that abusive dynamic, one of the things I learned about watching that abusive dynamic is a person can know that they're being abused, but that doesn't negate the fact that they will turn around and do the same thing to other people that's being done to them. So on a certain level, I didn't have a lot of sympathy for her or compassion for her. I think that she was a horrible person and she's probably still that way. I'm not compelled to be nice about it. I don't have to like her. But one of the things I did probably, I presume that at some point in time she had been discarded um, in her life by somebody that she placed a lot of significance on. And that got to her. It got to her so much, I think it probably broke her on the inside. And she just had no more, it broke her spirit. So that sourness and that nastiness that she would display to people in speech and in behavior, and like I said, in overall dispositions, because she had a general ambiance of just like a mist of urine. Like if you had to go through one of those misters when it's hot and it's like misting like water, it's like it's refreshing. If you're hot and you're going through a mist of piss, it's not, that's not refreshing. She was a she was a piss mist, and it was torture having to deal with her. But I learned the way in which that the women in this particular environment coded up together to be negative advocates that actually protected her, even though they knew full well that displayed she displayed characteristics of a high conflict personality consistently and would not be willing to put herself in a position to be held accountable for her bad behavior. It didn't matter. They were going to code up because they were scared of her. And it was so interesting to me to see the way in which women bullied other women and women who were otherwise would be considered to be strong, capable, independent, all the things, all the cliches, were getting bullied by one woman who was particularly unremarkable in her abilities. She squarely and perfectly meets the definition of average. There was nothing about her that communicated that she was upper echelon at all. Didn't matter. She still held a lot of sway and power over them. It was an interesting dynamic to see. And I was one of the few guys in the environment, working in the environment there, so I had a target on my back. Anyway, yeah, so I'm younger, significantly younger than the majority of the crew. I'm one of the only men there. I'm tall, and I have like an athletic build, so my command presence was significant. I stood out. So to her, and this is what one of my coworkers recently, I had a conversation with one of my coworkers that we used to work together about 5 or 6 years ago in the environment, and this is a lady. She told me, she was like, yeah, and this is, we'll call the person Portia, who was the person in question who was doing the things that made everybody's life hard. Portia, and my coworker said, Portia used to stare at you when you weren't looking at her. I just used to catch her staring at you from across the room. And I was like, yeah, I kind of felt laser beams on me at all times. And my coworker described the situation to me as if she knew full well at the time that the girl in Portia, that we'll call her Portia to protect her anonymity, um, had a low level of socialization in her life as it pertains to men that she deemed to be worthy of special treatment. In general, she was uncomfortable being around men that made her feel nervous. So she acted and displayed behavior that was like not just weird and odd. if it had been a man, if she had been a man, instead of her name being Portia, her name was Peter, and she was a dude, and she was treating women that way, probably would have threw him. There's no way the company would have put up with that. But the amount of attention that's given to the abuse levied upon men by hostile, overly punitive members of the opposite gender, there's not a lot of significance put on that because the prevailing notion is men just need to man up and toughen up and take it. Eesh, shit. But yeah, I was just thinking, I act totally different now that I'm not in that trapped in that submarine with her anymore. I feel more relaxed. But I'm glad that I went through that because it told me how important it was to stay on guard with respect to people that may be somewhat attracted to you but can't process their level of affinity for you. Be careful when you are attractive to people because you don't know. You might think that you're a four, but somebody else might look at you and think that you're a nine. The emotions that you can stir up in another person because they deem you to be worthy of special treatment may be so overwhelming to them it can cause them to behave in ways that are not indicative of who they are as a person. And they may not necessarily be able to properly control themselves or their behavior. Everybody's been around somebody that they liked a whole lot. Some people can handle having a crush. Some people are cool with having a crush on somebody. When you are high key attractive out here, and I'm not saying you're attractive on a mass level, you may be attractive on the very lowest level, but there's that one person that likes you so much that it stirs them crazy. You better be muted in your response and the way that you move through the world. Don't be out here. It takes bravery to be out here on the scene heavy because you could attract the type of attention because somebody may see you as, like I said, being worthy of special treatment. It may overwhelm them so much that their need for deep connection with you may cause them to get hostile and nasty if you don't necessarily, if they feel like you're embarrassing them or if they feel like you see them. The hardest thing for somebody who has a crush on you to do is to admit that the hardest thing for a person who has a crush on you, the hardest thing for them to admit is that their crush sees them back. A lot of people want to have a crush, but they want to they want to be allowed to have that crush from afar. They're totally cool with having a crush as long as their crush never sees them. Being seen by your crush or having your crush see you, if you don't feel like you're up to par, and it could totally be in that person's imagination that they feel like their crush is gonna play them, they could flip out. If a person has a crush on you and they know that you see them back and that you notice them back, you're not overwhelmed by them the way that they're overwhelmed by you, you better buckle up because you might be in for a wild ride. And it impressed upon me. So I told in my last live stream, I told you about the incidents I had with the lady at Target who like followed me down the aisle, but by the time she got to the aisle I had turned around, I had reversed course, so we were face to face. Listen, women are getting overt in their methods of flirting now because it's so scarce out here with respect to them being around men that they deem to be qualified. That when they see a brother in public, they looking, they trying to get in his way. They at him. You know what I'm saying? The prevailing notion is that a man is going to be in a woman face. But now the way that it's going down out here now, because you might never know how you attract a person. You might not know how you. And when I tell you I'm the epitome of average, I'm a 6 on my best day. But it's women out here that might be looking for a cold 6. So you got to be careful. Be careful how you manage people who see you as special. Because when a person sees you as special and they know that you may not see them back, they can get offended and they can get nasty quick, and now it's war. Like I told you, when I was going in Target, old girl peeped me. I saw her out of my periphery, but she saw me go down the aisle, and then she followed me down the aisle. And I was, like I said, I had on the, this what I had on. I'm putting some on right now. I had some of that on. Let me see if you can get the name. This is some body oil I picked up from Moods Music in Low 5. Unisex. I bought this like 2 years ago. Oh, this is what I had on. And oil is potent. In this particular concoction, this mixture is hidden, and this does smell pleasant. It does. It definitely. This is the type of stuff you put on when you're about to engage in adult behavior with that person, and you want to smell. So you put it on places where ain't nobody gonna put their mouth. So you put on like your knee, the back of your knee, like behind your elbow, where you're not gonna be kissed, because things smell good, but things that fragrance doesn't taste good. So this is like when you about to get down and y'all about to. So you put that on. I knew what I was doing because I found it and I was like, man, I need to put some of this on. So she probably reacted positively to that. And they gonna, when you smell good, they gonna follow you. When your smell is hitting right. And she followed me into the next aisle. Like I said, by the time she got to where I was at, I had already turned around. I was coming back her direction, so we was facing each other. And she was like, "I'm looking for a fireman's helmet." This was pre-Halloween. This was Friday. And I was like, "Oh man, she okay?" She came back. She was trying to at least get another look, because sometimes that first look ain't good enough. So she was trying to get another look at me to see, was I ugly or whatever. So you just had that little awkward interaction. People are out here trying to get at each other actively in the dating scene. People are trying to, the days of cold approaching on the street are over with, but there's still some people out here. There are still women out here who do believe in a little bit of small talk. To the extent to which brothers want to entertain, that's on y'all. Me, I'm about business. When I be out, I really don't be hollering. But the older I get, and this is something I learned too, is like when you get into your 40s, women start smelling stuff up on you. They can smell stability. So I am having a lot of conversations out here in the real world. I'm just, you just meet people. So I'm seeing as I'm getting older, like women are becoming a lot more verbal in general now. And I probably attribute that to it just not being a lot of guys out here available generally. Yeah. Let me see, man. I'm looking for something, but I don't know what I did with the box. That might be it right there. I'll look for it later. Yeah. But like I said, I feel better now not having to be around that person, not having to interact with that person, because she took it too far. Like, she was wild with it, going on my social media, and um, it was getting, follow me home from work once or twice, at least twice. She followed me home from work twice. One of her homegirls ended up telling on her. It was just wholesome. It was the spookiest interaction I've ever had with a woman that I work with. It was so uncomfortable. And that's how I learned. Like, if as you get older as a man, you need to get grayer, not with respect to your hair color, but with respect to your appearance. As you get older as a man, you want to stand out less. As you get older as a man, don't be out here trying to look like money. Dress yourself down as you get older as a man. And this is just now. If you don't agree with it, do what you do. But as you get older as a man, be more cognizant of the fact that it's probably to your benefit to blend into the wallpaper a little bit more. Because not all attention is good attention. And there's some women out here who may be love starved. They may not have the quality interaction that they want with the guys that they think that they deserve. So when they see you, they're gonna be at you, and you may not. That all attention. It's cool talking like you that fly guy and like you that fellow, but practical application. Um, practical application, man. When it gets down to it, it can just get super uncomfortable. But I feel better now because I don't have that pressure of knowing that there's a person out here that wants to like wear my skin. But they don't they don't have like a hole pre-dug to dump me in. It feels good knowing that I don't have like it feels good going unnoticed. Being totally off the radar and being totally unseen is the most liberating and freeing thing ever. Because when I was a younger guy, I just wanted to be noticed. Because you out here trying to be seen, you out here trying to get women's attention. As I've gotten older, I've understood and appreciate how important it is to be incognito. It's freedom and safety in being the guy that women don't notice. If you're gonna be out here as a man, if you get to a certain age, you need to be off the scene, fam. I'm not saying you gotta be in a relationship, but you gotta be the lowest of keys. Because having just a moderate amount of attention, and even that doesn't guarantee you. Like being low key and being off the scene and like downgrading and kind of lowering your profile does not guarantee you safety either. But because sometimes people think you're playing, you might run into a young lady who thinks that you're playing hard to get, and that might, get her to a point where she coming at you even harder. Well, I tell you. But like I said, I'm glad at 39 because I'm touching 40. I'm glad that I'm gonna find some deodorant. This is, hey, you gotta have some of this. This is your friend. If you want to take a screenshot, if you take a screenshot of this and DM me on Instagram, you're entered to win. You're entered to win some free footies. I got a lot of unworn socks. If you take a screenshot of this, DM me on Instagram, you will be entered to win free socks. Anywho, that's about 58 minutes. That's solid. This is a good test run because I want to listen back to this to see how it sounds.